kindly tell us about something, your profession, from where do you belong, what is your filmmaking career?
So I was born in Pakistan, but I didn't spend much time there in my youth. And I traveled to London before I was 1 year old, basically. And I was interested in film from a very early age. So I used to really love the camera and filming things. And I got my first camera when I was 10 years old. And obviously, as I matured and got older, then I started producing. I started directing and, I formed my own production company.
What motivated you to make films about holy sites?
Post 9/11, there was a lot of media backlash against Muslims, especially in the UK and the Western countries. And, I just wanted to really do something for my religion. I really felt I needed to use my creative skills to do something to combat this. I started doing the Islamic productions. I had a very big success doing a production here in the UK about the mosques of the UK. And then I went on to do a feature-length film about the greatest mosque of all, the biggest mosque, the Haram in Makkah. So it was like a logical progression for me to do that.
How was your experience about shooting Masjid al-Aqsa?
Masjid al-Aqsa was a phenomenal experience. Of course, Jerusalem is an occupied city, it's an occupied country. So it was very, very difficult in terms of the atmosphere there. There was a lot of paranoia there. There's soldiers with checkpoints and guards, guns everywhere. Al-Aqsa is under the control of the Jordanian Waqf, and they were the first people I spoke to, and they were fully supportive. They controlled Al-Aqsa. But, to get to Al-Aqsa is surrounded by the old city of Jerusalem. And to film in the old city of Jerusalem, you had to get different permissions from different bodies, from different ministries. So we spent a lot of time just pitching these ministries to gain the correct permissions to be able to make the film.
What was your aim, basically, behind making a film on Masjid al-Aqsa?
I felt that the Muslims of the world, they kind of neglected Al-Aqsa. Everyone goes to Umrah and to Hajj and to visit Makkah and Medina, but very few people from the West actually go to Jerusalem. And this could be because of the kind of negative propaganda there is around this place, that it's going to be very difficult, that you're going to get a lot of harassment there, and you're going to get detained at the airport and this and that. So really, I wanted to make this film just to encourage people to come to Al-Aqsa, to worship in Al-Aqsa, to stand in solidarity with the brothers and sisters in Al-Aqsa. So really, just to reinvigorate the love in people's hearts for the Muslims for Masjid al-Aqsa, to explain the history, the amazing history of Al-Aqsa is really, Islamically is just one of the most important places for Muslims in the world, and instill a sense of pride for the Muslims. That was the purpose of this film.
Tell me a little about the storyline of Masjid al-Aqsa.
So One Night in Al-Aqsa is basically, it's a story about how Palestinians revere this place, how special this place is for them. It's a little bit about the history. So there's a little bit about the history of Al-Aqsa, why it's so important to Muslims and why Muslims have to protect this place. But then really it's about the story of how Palestinians from other parts of Palestine come to Jerusalem to worship in Al-Aqsa. And then it culminates in the night of power, the 27th night of Ramadan, where 400,000 Muslims descend on this place, very small space. And I was actually there, obviously overseeing the filming and directing the film on that night. And it was just one of the most beautiful spiritual experiences of my life. The night of power that we shot, that was the culmination of our film, just exactly maybe 7 or 8 hours after those scenes were filmed, there was a huge riot in Al-Aqsa, and there was a running battle between, the Israeli armed forces and the worshippers, and there was tear gas being thrown, stun grenades being thrown. It was a very violent scene that we filmed there, and it was very, very terrible for us to see that the hardship that these Palestinians go through, even in the grounds, the holy grounds of Al-Aqsa. As a filmmaker, I had to make a decision as to whether I wanted to include these very hard-hitting scenes in the film. And really, as I said, our main objective through this film is to encourage Muslims around the world to travel to Al-Aqsa. People who watch this film will get a really immersive experience, a very visual experience, and really get the feel of how it feels to actually be in Masjid al-Aqsa on that holy night.
How much time have you spent on this project?
I think from concept to writing the initial script and doing the research to actually premiering the film in Leicester Square in London, I think it was a period of around 18 months.
Who financed this project?
I mean, we had a number of private donors who financed it. We also had some charity partners, different investors who invested small amounts of money. The budget of the film was around £200,000, so it was quite difficult to get the financing together. We managed to do it, and we managed to get the film distributed across multiple countries as well.
The income which has been generated from this film, So how it is going to be utilized?
One of our sponsors or basically financiers for this film was a charity organization in the UK. A big allocation of the money that was raised was given to the charity to help support, projects in Palestine. And as for the money we generated a lot of income from this, and that allowed us to then develop more projects. So obviously we pump all the money back into, into our slate of films that we're making at the moment. And we're continuing at the moment. We've got another 3 Islamic movies coming out, and we really want to normalize this process of making Islamic movies, but not just making Islamic movies, but putting them on cinemas across the world.
What is the response of this film from all across the world?
The response was just, alhamdulillah, it was just phenomenal. I think the Muslim audiences around the world really, really appreciated that someone had gone to the trouble to make a film like this, to bring it to Muslim audiences. And especially, many Muslim parents came to me and said, thank you so much for making this film, because we got the chance to show this to our children. Muslim children in the West especially, they go to the cineplexes and watch everything, all the latest Marvel films and the Avengers film. They watch everything, but here was a film that they can see in a cinema format, that's in an entertainment format, that actually teaches them something beneficial about their history, about who they are, where they came from, and really, the third most important Islamic institution in the world. Altogether, at the last calculation, the audience numbers for this film worldwide were around 50 million people. So, that's kind of incredible that we've hit that number of audience. And one of the countries I want to bring the film to is of course, Pakistan, my own country. I really want to get the film on cinemas there, and we have been talking about a deal to actually make that happen.
As you said, that you are planning to come to Pakistan. Are you in contact with the Ministry of Information or somewhere authorities with Pakistan?
No, we haven't contacted them yet. We did actually, One Day in the Haram was a big success in Pakistan. We actually made a deal with Cinepax, the cinemas, who we have very close relations with. But yeah, we really want to speak to the Ministry of Information. We want to speak to the Ministry of Tourism. We want to speak to people who are helping. So I'm hoping to contact the Ministry of Information and make something happen with their support.